Now, in my life, I have a lot of things that make me feel young. Working in my garden and seeing flowers, the flowering trees of spring, my model railroad, and actually one of the things that makes me feel the youngest of all, getting on my R1 and going through the gears, getting on the MT-09, it doesn't really matter what bike. And you can join us on today's ride in full 4K. Adjust your setting accordingly. Well, Karen checked the weather and she said it's going to be about 3 hours before there's a chance of rain and a 91% chance of rain. It's cloudy, and to be honest, I don't care. It's time to go out on the open road. Now, the weather has just gotten nicer and nicer in the past month. We've been getting a lot of riding in. And today is one of the rare days that it really is rain in the forecast, and I was getting a little annoyed that we've got so many nice days when we may get a rainy day today, but I still want to get out on the open road, and I never want to go out, never, without checking the air in the tires as one thing, checking the chain, wiping off any bugs that are still on the bike, and just the normal maintenance, checking anything's loose, because it's really inconvenient when you're far from home and you're riding by yourself and something happens and you just don't have that tool or that thing with you that you need. Hey, we're in the part of the season where the fish are eating every day now. They're totally out of hibernation. And what can I say? I enjoy feeding the fish every morning. That's one other thing that makes me feel young. And they enjoy being fed. That's the second part. And Karen always gives me a final weather check. She says 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours before rain is in the forecast. So we're going to go. Now, 15 years ago when I bought this bike, I bought it at Motorcycle Mall in the middle of a snowstorm. I had to wait a long time to get a blue one. It's a long story. And I rode it home. It was actually snowing when I rode it home. Got it into my garage, finally, into my carpeted garage. And I was so cold and wet by the time I got home, and I just wanted to have this in my possession. It didn't bother me at all that I was soaking wet that day. And from that minute on, I have looked at this bike as a way to stay young. Some people join a gym. Some people like to lift weights. I like to get out on the open road and go through the gears. Try to find a place where nobody's in front of me or behind me, and just enjoy every minute of the open road. Now, I don't enjoy riding on Route 80. I don't enjoy traffic lights or traffic, and I certainly don't enjoy law enforcement. So I'm always looking for roads where there's nobody in front of me, there's nobody behind me in the mirrors, and the radar detector is not going off. And there's just something about going through the gears on any bike, and especially on the R1, you just feel young. And no matter what you do to try to stay young, this is one of the best things to do. Now, looking back at that snowy day that I brought this bike home, and it had clip-ons, and it had these flat black wheels, and it had about 1,000 other flat black parts I didn't like. But I knew one thing. Somewhere down inside that fairing there was the cross-plane engine at every magazine of that year in 2009. Every magazine just was raving about that cross-plane engine. And back then I didn't know how the bike was going to evolve. I didn't know how I was going to evolve. But it seems like we've both gotten older together, but we still both want to be young. we're coming up on 37,000 miles, 15 years, and they've all been a lot of fun. Now, some of the areas we were in today, a lot of population, a lot of people walking down the street, and you never know. Having a quiet exhaust system in this kind of a place is really important to me. And sometimes I just take out a picture of the bike. I took a lot of pictures of it when it was new, just as is, and back then I was still flying model planes all the time, and here when I look at the bike now, it's a totally different bike. It has a totally different tail section that I made. It's got many little carbon fiber parts that I made. And the wheels, painting the wheels, that's on video on our channel. Pretty big job. Those headlight, the little cowls in the headlight, the Josh Hayes, I call them Josh Hayes replicas, not available anywhere. One of a kind. And the little seat pillion, I made 2 of them. Every part of it, they all combine for a wonderful, fun package to ride. But no matter how much you modify the bike, the heart and soul of this motorcycle is that cross-plane engine. This was the first year of the cross-plane. They didn't put traction control on it. I think they knew they made a mistake there, because they put it on the 10 model. But that engine, anybody that's ever ridden one knows, that engine is an absolute brute. Now, I might be wrong, but if I'm thinking back correctly, it was 2009. This bike was, at the time, voted Super Bike of the Year. But I might be wrong. But no matter what, it's always the same with every motorcycle that I add to my collection, is to make the bike my own. Put some styling cues on it that set it apart in a crowd. Make it as comfortable to ride as I possibly can. And this bike, even the suspension is real nice after 37,000 miles. I haven't had any real issues with the suspension, any need to change it, upgrade it, do anything. It's fully adjustable. And it has stood the test of time very well. I'm actually pretty surprised. Yeah, I've been getting about 35 miles to the gallon, not the greatest. And the overall thing is the bike is just a blast to ride. And when I painted those wheels, what a labor of love that was. I did it in the middle of the winter when it was snowing on the ground. And I'm so glad I did it. It changed the whole look of the bike. And one of the few things I was really unhappy about with the bike when I bought it, the mirrors, I couldn't see anything out of them. And I'm very fussy about being able to look in a mirror and see if anything is behind me. And I guess most people know me. There's 2 things about styling bikes. I hate flat black, and I just love Yamaha blue. So I've been watching the cloud cover for the whole ride. I always figure I save a lot of time if I don't have to clean the bike after a ride home in the rain. It's just me. I'm lazy, I guess, as I get older. But this bike has managed to keep me young for many years, and maybe your bike keeps you young too. And it doesn't matter what bike you ride. If it keeps you young, makes you feel good, you enjoy going through the gears, you enjoy sitting back and looking at it and having a cup of coffee, then the bike is worth every penny you paid for it. Boy, it sure looked like rain for a good part of this ride, but it looks like we've gotten home in plenty of time. And nothing is more fun getting home in time that you don't have to clean the bike after riding through the rain. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like button if you did, and thank you so much for watching.